Do you want to digitize your hand-drawn artwork or your hand-painted artwork, but you don't have Adobe? I'm going to show you how you can do it using your iPad and Procreate. In this video, I'm going to take this mushroom here and I'm going to digitize it in Procreate. So you're going to need a high-quality photograph or a scan of your artwork. If you're scanning, it needs to be 300 dpi at a minimum. And if you don't have a scanner, you can take a photograph using your smartphone of your artwork. It just needs to be natural light with no harsh shadows and as good quality as you can possibly manage. The good news is obviously most smartphones now take excellent quality photos. So once you've done that, you need to then import that image or that scan into Procreate. So let's start there. So let's begin by importing the image into Procreate by selecting Add and Photo, and I rotated it to obviously fit the layout, and then also I tapped Fit to Canvas. And then under the Adjustments menu, which looks like a magic wand, you're going to select Curves. And you can spend a bit of time here just trying to get the colours a little bit more vibrant and saturated. You can play around with this as much as you like. The scan is quite likely going to wash out your image, and even taking a photograph may wash out your image slightly. So I find it's good to just stay here for a while and get it to a point where you feel happy with what you're working with. So when you're happy, tap the screen and select Apply, and this will apply the changes that you've made. Then I go up to Layers and I duplicate the layer that I'm working with, and I turn one off just so that I've always got a copy in case I make a mistake and I want to go back to the original. Then I go to the Select menu and I'm going to select Automatic, and sliding the purple pencil along the top of the image, you can select the threshold. The threshold will determine how much of the white space is being selected, and you'll notice that some areas get selected inside of the artwork, so I tend to leave it just above that threshold. You can also tap parts of the image to add them into the selection. I decided to leave it here, and I went up to the layers again and I said mask. But this isn't quite what we want the mask to do, so tap on the mask layer and select invert, and that will create the kind of mask that you need. You can set the background color to something different. It can be helpful to see the mask that way. And when you go to the mask layer, make sure that you are selecting black as your color. And I'm choosing to use the studio pen as my brush. I quite like it, it's one of my favorites. You can use whatever you like, but just make sure that you're working on the mask layer and that your color is set to black. That's the most important thing. So I'm just going to zoom in on this little mushroom down here, and you can see that I'm going to start masking those white edges that I don't want. I'm not too worried about any other rogue pixels at the moment. I'm just going to focus on the edges of the mushroom. And the great thing about mask is that it doesn't destroy, so it just covers things up. If you decide at a later point that you want more of the edge showing, or you just want to uncover something that you previously covered, you don't have to hit the undo button loads of times. You can simply go back into the mask layer and you can uncover it, and I'll show you how to do that later. So as you can see, I am just erasing, well, masking all those white edges, then I'm just cleaning them up. I'm the kind of person who actually enjoys this kind of work. It's something really satisfying about it. I think it's just the act of like cleaning. So this is probably going to be quite enjoyable and therapeutic for you if you're that kind of person. Okay, so here I'm going to show you what I mean about uncovering the mask. If you decide that you want to show something again, you need to select white instead of black, and then simply go over the part that you want unmasked. And it is as simple as that. White will unmask things, black will mask things. And that's all you really need to know. Just make sure that you're working on the mask layer. So once I'm satisfied, I then duplicate the layer again. I like to duplicate layers just in case. And then I go to the one that I've kept visible and I merge the mask and the image so they become one. So we're going to make this mushroom a standalone image by going to select and choosing freehand, and you're going to draw around the mushroom or whatever it is that you're working on. Swipe down with 3 fingers to bring up the copy paste menu and say cut and paste, and this will put the mushroom on its own layer all by itself. I set the background color back to white, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to invert the mushroom. So I'm going to go back to layers, select the layer and hit invert, and that is going to show me all the little rogue pixels around the edge of the mushroom that I didn't get. And in this case I am going to use the eraser tool because I don't want these pixels, so it's okay if I destroy them. I'm not trying to mask them. So I just go in and I delete and erase all of those extra pixels that I don't want. And by inverting the image, it just makes it a lot easier to see. So once I'm happy, I go back to the layer and I invert again, returning it to its usual color. And then you can see that it's all cleaned up, it's isolated, it's on its own layer. And so now we can go ahead and we can save this as an image. So you want to go to the wrench icon and share, and then save as a PNG. And you can save it to your files. And then if you go to your photos, you'll be able to see it there in the photos, but obviously it's kind of swimming in a sea of white. So using the iPad editor, you can just crop this image down to a more suitable size. And there you are. Cute little mushroom, all by itself, all digitized and ready for use somewhere else. And that is how to digitize your work using Procreate. I hope that was useful and easy to follow along, but if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below and I'll be happy to answer. And then what happens if you don't have an iPad and you don't have Procreate and you don't have Adobe? What can you do then? That's another video that I'm planning for another time, so please subscribe to my channel in the meantime, and I'll be back with another video really soon. Bye!